One of the big highlights of the tour here at Lahoma is talk about the new varieties, and here to talk about those, Jeff Edwards. Jeff, what's new and exciting this year?
Well, we've got several new varieties to choose from. It used to be in the Great Plains we would hang on to a variety forever, Jagger being an example. It's getting to where the average life of our varieties is much shorter. We have a lot of new varieties to choose from, and that's a good thing for our producers. Two that I really like, we released in 2011, Rubylee being the first one. This is one of my favorite wheat varieties. It has very good top-end yield potential. It is what I call an intensive management type wheat. Now, it doesn't have good disease resistance. It's not tolerant of acid soil conditions. Why do I like it so much? It's one that if you put a lot of inputs into it and treat it with a fungicide, it will reward you. I really like the variety for its top-end yield potential. It's also one that'll fool you a little bit. It reminds me of a variety we used to grow called Overly, where it has a small head size, but it has large kernels that fill up that head. The other one we released in 2011 is Garrison. It's a late maturing variety. Garrison, when we released it, we were looking for something to be an endurance upgrade. Okay. Endurance was the #1 variety in the state for a while. It's still #2. With Garrison, we have acid soil tolerance. We improved on the test weight of endurance, which was its weakness. 2012, we had a shift in the stripe rust races we were dealing with, and Garrison fell prey to that shift in stripe rust races. So it is one that if you're going to grow Garrison, just like Rubylee, I would be prepared to spray a foliar fungicide on it. If you're willing to do that, I do consider it to be an endurance upgrade. Better yield potential, better test weight. So it's one, if you're growing in endurance, it's one to take a look at to replace some of those acres.
What part of the state is this most popular in?
Both of these would be adapted to all parts of Oklahoma.
Okay, so anywhere in the state they'll do well.
They're widely adaptable. Rubylee, again, those restrictions on not being tolerant to low soil pH kind of holds it back a little bit in some pockets within the state. But as long as your pH is in good shape, it'll have a fit.
All right, let's move down and take a look at a few more varieties.
Let's do it. Our next two varieties that we'll talk about are Gallagher and Iba. They were released in 2012, and both of these are what I call the sons of Duster. They both have Duster as a parent. They differ, though, in how they behave. We've got a little bit of sibling rivalry here.
Okay.
Gallagher is an early maturing variety. Like Duster, it is tolerant of acid soil conditions. It is Hessian fly resistant. It's a good grazer. It even outproduces Duster in terms of forage production. The only thing that I have that I would put it a notch below Duster is that it is early maturing and early to first hollow stem, so you can't graze it quite as long as you can
off a little
Duster.
Quicker there. Okay.
Right, but disease resistance on it's better than Duster. Great disease resistance so far, and about a 10 to 15% increase in kernel size over Duster.
Okay.
So if you're growing Duster, this is the first variety we've had at OSU that I would really call a Duster replacement.
Okay.
Iba has its own list of attributes. It is late maturing. It is not tolerant of acid soils, is not Hessian fly resistant, but it has a really good disease package, probably a little bit better than Gallagher. Iba also has an increase in seed size, and out of the three of them, has a little bit better test weight than Duster or Gallagher. Not that the other two are bad, but this one is really strong in terms of test weight. And Iba would have the widest area of adaptation. Okay. Gallagher is an Oklahoma wheat. We're talking in the center of Oklahoma,
right.
Central Oklahoma. Iba will extend on into Texas,
okay,
into Kansas.
So it's got a good wide, we can get this out of the state a bit.
Absolutely. It'll go into Kansas all the way up to I-70 into the Texas Panhandle. Very wide area of adaptation.
Very good. Okay, I think we have time for one more variety. So tell us about Billings.
Billings is what I call the George Harrison of wheat varieties. It is an outstanding wheat variety, but I always tend to forget about it whenever I'm talking about wheat varieties. I focus on Gallagher and Iba and some of the newer ones. Billings has been out for a while. It still has a rock solid disease resistance package, excellent milling and baking characteristics, great test weight, great top end yield potential. As the name implies, it's primarily a north central Oklahoma wheat.
Okay.
The thing that holds it back from being more broadly adaptable is drought tolerance. It's not that drought tolerant. It can do well outside of north central Oklahoma, but if you move it into southwest Oklahoma, into the Panhandle, in those areas, it's probably going to need to be under irrigation. But if you have ground that's not prone to drought, or you have irrigation, something you really want to push the yield potential on, Billings is a great variety.
Great variety. Now, we've talked about just a few of the OSU varieties here today, but you've got, is this every variety around the state?
Well, this is every variety we're testing. We have around 43 varieties here at Oklahoma this year. Previously, we would test 20 to 25 varieties at this site. This year, we have varieties from Lima Grain cereal seed, Syngenta, Agseco, Westbred, and we have some of their new varieties. They're varieties that are approaching release. So we're going to get a chance to take a look at those, and we'll harvest them and have the data available within a day or two of harvest in most cases.
Now, for folks who aren't here today, though, these trials, if they don't have an easy time getting to Oklahoma, they're out in different places around the state, right?
They are, and we leave the signs up on all of our trials right up until harvest. We have very large trials just like this one here at Oklahoma, Chickasha, Altus, and at Goodwell, and then at an additional 20 sites around the state on farmer fields. We have replicated trials where we test 20 to 25 varieties at those sites. So we have an extensive testing system. You can find a location near you.
All right, good information as always. Jeff Edwards, our small grain specialist here at Oklahoma State University.